This episode of The Casual is brought to you in part by Squarespace. For all your website needs, Squarespace delivers it in an all-around package to help you build a beautiful, integrated online presence.
じゃあ皆さんこんにちは、レイジです。いつもこのチャンネルでは英語で説明してるから初めてこのチャンネルを見るとレイジは本当に日本語を話せるのかって疑問に思うかもしれないよね。その理由の一つはほとんどのサブスクライバーがイングリッシュスピーカーだから全品英語を話してるんだけど今日は特別に有名ブランドの日本語の発音を教えちゃいますよね。面白いでしょう。レイジがアメリカ人なのでね。だってさ、今日見てる日本語スピーカーの皆さんは気になる表現とかあるかもしれないけれど、褒めに見てください。助けてくださいよね、コメントに。間違えてところね。じゃあ、今から英語で説明しましょう。Alright, so, yeah. How to say famous fashion brands in Japanese. That's what I actually said. This is the translation. It's not. You should have read that. Anyway, it should be interesting. And you might learn some Japanese along the way. And when you come to Japan, you know exactly what to say, so you don't have a problem. I'm your boy, Reggie Casual. Let's get it. Alright, first up, real easy. We got a brand that everybody knows. Nike. 日本語でなんていうの? Nike.
They sound exactly the same.
This is like the Japanese starting pack for like pronunciation. It's also fools you into thinking that it's always gonna be this way. Disclaimer, it ain't. So, ご注意くださいね. In Japanese, you usually have to put certain, let's say, vowel sounds together to mimic sounds from other languages. This isn't always verbatim, but sometimes, like in the case of Nike, it is. To illustrate this point, Nike in Japanese is really Naiki. Now, if you were to use romanization to like spell it out, at least Japanese romanization, it would be N-A-I-K-I. And it just so happens that that pronunciation, that grouping of letters is very close to the English, Nike. So all you UK cats out there that continue to argue for Nikes, when you're in Japan, nobody's gonna know what the heck a Nike is. So,
I'm sorry about that, bruv. Which
means America wins again. Next up, we got another American brand, and that is Levi's. 日本語でなんていうの? It is Levi's.
What?
The pronounced L, like the L sound, is absent in Japanese language, so it's replaced by a R-L-ish sound. Now, this sound may be easier to accomplish for Spanish speakers or for any language that rolls R's. However, the roll in Japanese is not as pronounced. It's short and sweet.
I'm done.
So Lee in Levi's turns into Ri. Also, the V sound is hard to mimic in Japanese, so sometimes they can make it like in words like vintage. Vintage has a closer V sound, but in this case with Levi's, it's a B sound. So Levi's, just keep that in mind. It could be a B or a V sound. Now, many Japanese actually have a hard time distinguishing between R's and L's, it's just a note, and converting to English because they don't have hard R's or hard L's in the language. So if you really want to piss off a Japanese person, this is just for your note. Ask them to say haro ra ra. Haro ra ra. The next one is a good one because it's not American. We're gonna go all the way to France, but it uses a lot of things that we've discovered thus far. We've only done two. The brand, Louis Vuitton. Side note, gotta get on my American brethren here. Many Americans make the mistake of saying Louis Vuitton, like the Louis Vuitton Don. And while I'm no French language savant, Louis Vuitton ain't it. You can at least try closer to the Louis Vuitton. That's a little bit better. So the French will hate us slightly less for butchering their language all the time.
Speak a little like this.
That being said, 日本語でなんていうの? Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton. That's how you say it. In fact, it's so close that you could simply say Louis Vuitton as close to the French way as possible, and a Japanese person would very likely know what the hell you just said. So yes, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton. And pretty much got it. Alright, so we got 3 more. あと3つね。前にはスポンサーからのメッセージがありますのでよろしくお願いします。 A big part of this fashion industry is presentation. That's why Squarespace offers up professional, clean, and easily customized website themes that will have you presentation ready from jump. So no matter if you're running an up and coming label or just want to sell some novelty merchandise, Squarespace's e-commerce options, social media integrations, and robust analytics and data-driven backend make selling, promoting, and managing your website incredibly easy. All that, and you can save 10% when using our code squarespace.com/thecasual when you sign up. So why are you hesitating? Get started and make that website using Squarespace today. All right, so next up we got Gucci. 日本語でなんていうの? That would be Gucci. Very close. 基本的に同じなんですけど, there is a slight stop in the middle. Not just Gucci, but Gucci. In English, we do say Gucci.
My brother, you wanna buy a Gucci bag?
Simple, right? But in Japanese, Gucci. So you kind of hear the difference there. But they say it much quicker, so it's not Gucci, it's just Gucci. But the thing is, this is really common in Japanese, so you can't just be like, yo, why do y'all say it like that? Why don't you just make it easier? You're making it harder than what it is. Just say Gucci. Nah, this ain't gonna happen. These little pronunciation gaps or stoppages are called glottal stops. It's a linguistic term, so you ain't gotta know everything about it, but in Japanese, it's filled with it. Like, for example, kite kudasai is different from kite kudasai.
Bruh.
And to an untrained ear, those two sound very similar, but to a Japanese person, they can immediately understand the difference between kite kudasai and kite kudasai, which is crazy. So it's just a note. And why Gucci actually teaches you an important lesson about Japanese pronunciation. Glottal stops are everywhere. So not Gucci, but Gucci. Next up is a Japanese brand, so we gotta put a Japanese brand in there, and it may be one that you all know about. That is a bathing ape in lukewarm water. So I will spare you the super industrial a bathing ape in lukewarm water.
Oh, hell no!
Which is absolutely ridiculous, and I'll just give you the shortened versions that everybody uses. There's one, a bathing ape, or two, bape, which is very close to what you know, and then ape. So the first one is obviously a reference to a bathing ape in lukewarm water, just shortened to a bathing ape, so a bathing ape. And the second one is just like the one that you know, bape, but with the slight Japaneseification, so bape. And the third one is obviously a reference to the last word in a bathing ape, which is ape, so ape. There's only one problem with the one that you guys normally use, bape. It also happens to be one of the pronunciations for vape. Remember when I said that the V sound sometimes comes out as a B sound in Japanese? Yeah, that can happen. So if you ask them, babe store wa doko nan desu ka? A Japanese person might mistake that for the vape store. You gotta be very careful. So you gotta explain. So it pays to know ape and a Beijing ape. You should know all of those. And then you'll have no problems at all. All right, so next up we got an eponymous designer label. And it wouldn't be right if I didn't do a Japanese name. And since pretty much everyone gets Yohji Yamamoto correct, let's go with one that so many people get incorrect. 次はね、Issei Miyake. Issei Miyake. That's right. Issei Miyake is Issei Miyake. Not Issey Miyake, not Issei Miyake, not Mr. Miyagi. Daniel-san. But Issei Miyake. When it comes to Issei Miyake, as soon as someone saw that damn KE on the end of his Romanized name, and they thought, hey, that's Japanese, and Saki has a KE on the end of it, so it must be Issei Miyake.
Oh, hell no!
It's the man's name, dog. What if someone went around saying your name wrong everywhere? I'm sure Miyake-san doesn't really care because he's not really running the label anymore, but it is his name, right? So you could say Saki for the rest of your life. I really don't care. But at least get Issei Miyake's name right. That's his name.
Stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more.
All right, so final one on the list. You knew it was coming. So Europe, you get to stand up. You won this battle on how to actually pronounce Adidas.
Obviously.
Now, I'm one of those shunned in America consistently because I do say Adidas even when I'm not speaking Japanese.
What's wrong with you?
That has much more to do with language studies than being pompous. When you study language, you get into this habit of pronouncing things the way that they're meant to be spoken. So you take linguistic stuff very seriously. That's all it is. So if you come to Japan and you ask someone where the Adidas store is, they probably won't know what the heck you're talking about. They may get it, but it's gonna be very hard. So in Japanese, Adidas is Adidas, but a slight su on the end. But essentially, it's the same thing. If you say Adidas, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. It's cool though, because if you learn Japanese, you're probably gonna have to learn how to say the things, you know, how things are said anyway, obviously, because you're learning a different language.
Duh.
Anyway, that's all I got for you today, but why not suggest more? There's a lot of other interesting ones that don't necessarily take all of the rules that I told you today as seriously. Just like Supreme, I don't even want to tell you Supreme, I just want you guys to request it and I'll explain why. But yeah, add some to the list, or if you want to see something else that's in Japanese, let me know. I'll try, even though it's monotonous and ridiculous, and I'm not a Japanese person, and I don't do that. Anyway, いつ見ても感謝しますのでありがとうございます。As always, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion culture and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. よろしくお願いします. And I will see you guys in a minute.